I had a friend tell me years ago, you are a person who sees the stuff that other people forget about, and you still like find the value in stuff that others. So I'm a guy who loves thrift stores and antique stores, and like I love going and finding some old thing that people have forgotten about and being like, guys, this still has value. And I think cardboard is like that. It's cheap. You can get cardboard anywhere. You can often get cardboard for free. It can be really strong. It can be really bendy. Cardboard in general is garbage. I mean, it's literally it holds a thing until it gets to your house and then you throw it away. I found that when I tell people that I make art out of cardboard and I don't show them, they universally assume that it's bad. No, they don't tell me that, but I can tell because when I later show them a picture of it, every time they go, oh man, that is not what I thought. And I have to kind of poke. I'm like, well, what did you think? And they're like, I just didn't think it would be this detailed or this good, basically. And I love taking something that people think of as just this throwaway material and making something like truly beautiful and awe-inspiring out of it. It's taken me a long time to acknowledge or accept that I was an artist. So I have like a lot of artists, I have a huge struggle with imposter syndrome. And I've taken one art class in my life, in high school. I took art, growing up in elementary, middle school, took art with everybody. I took one elective art class in high school, and I probably got a B in it. I never saw myself as an artist. I did graphic design, I did all these other things, and I always saw that as like, well, it's art adjacent, but it's not, I'm not a, capital A artist. And this project actually kind of forced me to come to terms with, I think I am an artist, and it was the dumbest thing. I'm standing on this ladder, this rickety ladder. So I'm 12 feet up in the air, and I'm looking at this, what at the time was just a blank dragon head, and I was thinking, okay, what kind of scales am I going to put where? How am I going to do this texturing? And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this thought came into my head of like, maybe you are actually an artist. And I realized nobody else would do this. Like a non-artist would not be standing 12 feet in the air looking at this dragon head going, what kind of scale texturing should I do? I realized that artist is not a label that means that you're good. Artist is a way of seeing the world. Artist is a label that just kind of helps define, this is how you interact with society, this is how you view the world. And once I realized that it was more about a mindset and an approach, and it's like, I was born an artist. Now I realize that, like, I never chose to do that. I just always was that way. And so, to answer the question, why art? Because I couldn't not do it. I couldn't ever, I just couldn't not make things. I feel compelled to make stuff. And so sometimes it's a giant dragon sculpture, sometimes it's a video, sometimes it's a logo, it can be anything, but I am a person who can't not make stuff. People ask me that a lot. Why do you do this stuff? Because some of my projects are meaningful and some of them are just silly and pointless. And so people ask, like, why do you do this stuff? And I always say, like, because someday I'm going to die. And it's a lot harder to do stuff after you're dead. As far as I've been able to tell, people's artistic productivity drops way off after they die. And so unless you're Tupac, then you can just keep coming up with stuff. So I'm like, someday I'm going to be dead. And so I'm not going to have the ability to. Right now, I have this ability to. I can have an idea and I can make that idea real. Someday, both of those things go away. The clock is ticking. And I guess another simpler answer of like, why do you make stuff is just because I can. Because it is proof that I exist in the world and that I have the ability to interact with the world and change things. I think another thing that's been really helpful for me is once I decided I was an artist and, or I guess accepted that I was an artist, I realized like, oh, this is a filter for like what kind of people I'm going to get along with. Part of why I make art is because you're putting something out into the world that goes, this is this weird thing that I like. And if you like it, I might like you. We'll probably like each other. And if you don't like it, we might still like each other. There are people that I am very close with that I know for a fact they're like, I don't get what he does.
Can't see anything at all, so we're just gonna trust you guys.
But I think that it's a shortcut sometimes. If you make a weird thing and people are like, that's amazing, you're like, oh, cool, I thought it was amazing too. And then it's this beacon out into the world. So I think that's a really, I've built so many amazing relationships with people through me making some weird thing or me liking some weird thing that they made and reaching out and going, hey, I don't know you, you don't know me. I just think it's cool that you made this thing, so keep making stuff. And I think that it's a connective thing. I have a hard time thinking that my work has any value. I have a hard time thinking that my stuff is any good. It's hard because that can seem like it's fishing for compliments, or that I'm just hoping somebody will go, no, your work is good. I'm not. It took me 2 years into this 2.5 year project before I could look at the Viking ship and be like, okay, this is pretty cool. For the longest time, all I could see were the flaws in it. And still to this day, I look at it and I go, that's not right, this thing fell off. So I think that's the big struggle for me, is it's that whole Ira Glass thing that he talks about, like the gap between where your taste is and where you are. And you're like, yeah, I'm getting closer, I can tell that. But also, the closer you get, the more you refine your own taste, and you go, oh man, you start seeing other people that are better, and you're like, man, now that the bar keeps getting higher too. So I think that's the struggle for me, is realizing that my work has any value, because I wasn't an artist in high school. I wasn't an artist in college. I wasn't somebody who had other people going like, oh my gosh, this work that you're doing has value. So I just kind of always felt like guilty about making stuff. I was like, oh, this is just like a thing that I do on the side. And it wasn't until I had a lot of other people tell me that the stuff I did made a difference to them in some way that I finally started to accept it. And I feel like I'm still on a journey of even getting there. I often undervalue my own work severely. That's like a big thing that I've been actively working on, and talking to friends about, hey, make me post about this stuff more, make hold me accountable on telling people about the stuff that I make. Because at the end of the day, if you really think that the work that you do is good, you should tell people about it. If you think people will look at this and they will like it, then you have an obligation to tell people about that, because otherwise you're withholding something that could bring something good into that person's life. When I announced this project, there was a part of me that's like, is this just this some stupid idea that you have? Are you just kind of full of yourself? Is this just an excuse that you made to, do some more cardboard stuff? What convinced me that it wasn't was message after message after message after message, a letter after letter from people going, I sent in this card to you and it made a difference in my life. And so when you get that much evidence of people saying this thing that you did impacted my life in a positive way, then I do fundamentally have a responsibility to tell people about it.
They're going to fire it.
I used to think that changing the world was I've got to do this big thing. And it's really, it's if you can just keep somebody going for a couple more minutes, another day, that's all that they need most of the time. Most of the time when somebody's in a really dark place, they'll get out of it. They just need your help to be it's going to be all right. You just need to give them some little bit of hope that will get them over that next little hump, and then they'll be all right. They'll shake themselves out of it, or somebody else can take it from there. And so if this can provide some little dose of that, I think it's great. My name is Kyle Scheele, and I am a motivational cardboarder.